This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the iRacing Esports Network tonight, proudly presented by SimSpeed Television. We are here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway using the Roval course for the Aussie Driver Search iRacing V8 Supercar Official Series here tonight. It's going to be a fantastic sprint race. These guys are not limited by fuel, and we've got a nice 32-lap race here, which will take us about 40 minutes to get through. Got some top drivers in here as well. My name's Zach Hanlon. Joining me in the booth this evening is Cameron Dance. And we also have Jay Kennedy, as always, pushing the buttons for those beautiful TV pictures you'll be seeing this evening. And they will be beautiful pictures because we are here at the sunset this evening at Charlotte Motor Speedway. And that sun will start dipping below the grandstands here. Might get a little bit darker before this end of the race as well. But a couple of drivers here, Cam, not here tonight because they've been traveling to the Bathurst 12-hour this weekend. So we are missing a few drivers. But Andrew Gillum is taking advantage of that at the moment. He's got himself on provisional pole right now.
Yeah, absolutely. A few regulars that we normally see in the V8 on Monday night still travelling back from Bathurst, or have decided to take the night off. And with the combo that it is tonight here at Roval with the Supercar, it's probably not all that bad. I know we saw in the Australian Online Supercar Championship a few weeks ago that it wasn't the best round to try and get a points haul, so we'll see what happens tonight. But yeah, it's going to be really, really interesting to see how tonight goes with actually quite a close field as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually did a couple of laps in this configuration of this track this evening in a V8, and it's so much fun. I almost told Jay to jump in the commentary booth and join the boys out on the track this evening, but I just didn't have any pace. It's very difficult to set up this car for this track as well, because you not only have to worry about that really tight infield section, you've got to be fast around that oval as well, because you can get caught very easily if the car's not built up for a bit of speed around there. Just watching Michael Talyancic running high on the banks here at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, looking deep into the eyes as he comes down into this very tricky, fast chicane here. You just dab it down into fifth gear, turn in and hope that you get some turn for the second part. Use a lot amount of that exit curb there, and then very tricky braking zone here for this. You brake in a left-hand arc here, and then you've got to dive it in so that you can get onto that apex for the first right-hander, and then a very tight exit on this left as well, deceptively slow. Michael Talyancic navigating that well, though. Only a 1:13.7 for him, unfortunately, which is 2 seconds off the pace right now. Mario Vlasic having a big lock-up and might have actually even pulled a gear too early through that final corner, because he's got a bit of smoke coming out the back of his V8 Supercar there, and he's not been able to actually get a lap on the board. So very unfortunate there for Mario Vlasic, as we just see Christian Smart as well, who's coming out to do a lap. He has not put a time on the board. Neither have Brady Myers or Damon Mulqueen either. So Brady not actually on track at the moment. So we'll have to...
Yeah, he's off track actually both his laps, so...
there we go. So that's very unfortunate for Brady. Very unfortunate indeed. But we will take you through our grid now, because qualification has now finished, and Andrew Gillum for Pursuit Sim Racing doing a great job there to one up Wayne Burke and take pole position here. Wayne Burke will start alongside him on the outside of row number 1 there. Jackson Suslin-Harlow for TTL Esports will start from position number 3, and two-time champion Marlon J. McMullen for Team CMR will be coming out of 4th. Jordan Ross for Synergy Sim Racing starting from 5th position. Mitchell Sealak from TTL Esports will start from 6th. James Mackey from the 4th row alongside Corey Preston in that JMSR racing car. Jack Boyd from Going Rogue Motorsports, new team looking to get some points on the board for them. Kyle Stokes from Evolution Racing Team will round out your top 10.
And 11th, we have Riley Blythe for Evolution Racing Team, followed by Andrew Zaxton in 12th. 13th and 14th, James Duckworth and David Thomas. 15th and 16th, Jamie McKnight and Craig Jones, followed by Michael Taliancic and Greg Sharp in 17th and 18th. And then rounding out the top 20, Warren Pickering and Zach Baker.
Then we have Justin Wallace in 21st. Jamie Stovold will come out of 22nd position. Ashley Ruskin, new name there, starting from position 23, as is Kane Hewson, who is starting out of 24th. Tyson Williams for ANZ Motorsport in 25th. Ryan Shelton will start out of 26th position. Matt Muggleton will start from 27th. Martin Casey alongside him in 28th. Brady Myers, Mario Vlasic, Christian Smart and Damon Mulqueen all unable to set a lap time here this evening, and that will complete our 32 car grid this evening, as the cars do now just start to line up on the grid here. It's a very short run down into turn 1, but it's not the worst thing to hang on the outside here, because the next corner, it's a double left-hander, but if you can hold it on the outside of that second left-hander, you have the inside line for the first part of the infield. So that's going to be pretty crucial to for these guys on the outside line to see if they can hold it there and make themselves some positions. And that curb on the inside of turn 1 is also extremely aggressive, so guys on the inside line will be really careful just not to clip that. But up at the front of the field, they have started to build the revs, and we are go from Charlotte Motor Speedway at the Roval. Good start there from Andrew Gillum. He's going to cover off Wayne Burke into turn number 1. Looking good from him. Nice start there. Wayne Burke, bit of a wide line there, and that's going to allow Jackson Suslin-Harlow up the inside. And Wayne Burke coming very close to the wall there. He's got the inside line here now for turn number 3 and 4, and he's gotten that position back from Suslin-Harlow, so damage control done there for him. Looking back from Suslin-Harlow at Marlon McMullen now as they come into another double right-hander. Very technical corner this. You really have to slow up for this second apex and then keep it as tight to the right as you can for this double left, which brings you on to the first section of the Roval here. And looking very sketchy out of there is Wayne Burke. It just gets a bit of a wiggle there. Luckily, Jackson Suslin-Harlow did not get the best exit either. And we'll watch Jackson now as they come into this very quick and fast braking zone into this chicane here. And he backs out very early. Wayne Burke super deep into that chicane there and into the second part of the oval, as we just see car number 16 there. I think that's David Thomas, who's making his way up behind, or it's James Mackey, pardon me, it was the 15 car, who's behind Corey Preston, runs very deep after getting attacked by Riley Blythe down into that chicane there. But for the most part, it looks like we've got a really clean start here, as that's a move. James Duckworth going up the inside of Riley Blythe. Riley, if he keeps it strong around the outside though, might be able to retain that position. He does, and he's going to go very deep. Maybe a little bit of a rub there on the entry into the corner. They both come out the other side though, and James Duckworth looking for a bit of an over-under here. He could go for a shallow line. Riley Blythe going to cover it off nice and quick and stop James from having a go down the inside there. But as I said, Cam, nice clean start from these guys and some good racing already.
Yeah, absolutely. So far, everybody's managed to get away cleanly. I know there's a little bit of an incident further back in the field, but for the most part, everybody seems to have got themselves sorted out and into single file at the moment. Riley Blythe, though, coming under massive pressure from James Duckworth, who's all over the rear end of that BRT car, and he's looking up the inside, but he's going to back out of it, just trying to force Blythe into a mistake, but they both make it in. Duckworth running a little bit wide from too much curb, and now he's going to have his teammate, Jack Boyd, all over him now.
Yeah, it looks like Jack's decided to back out of that. He's not going to apply too much pressure to his teammate this early in the race. They want to both work themselves past that ERT car. They've got another ERT car just behind them in Jamie McKnight. So there'll be, and Kyle Stokes, speaking of ERT cars, I presume that's the incident you were talking about before, Cam, possibly. Or we'll get a CPR kart parts replay for you now of Kyle Stokes. Looks like he's already carrying a fair bit of damage there as he comes into the chicane. Go back live and try and get that if we can. But we'll take you now back to Mitchell Selak and Jordan Ross, who are both very close. They've got Corey Preston tucked in closely as well. As they come onto the banking here and down into the fast chicane. It's going to be very difficult. Now, we're just hearing as well from the race broadcast director here that something could have happened to Wayne Burke. And indeed, Wayne Burke is not on the track right now. We'll see if we can find out what happened. I think it could be a throughput net issue. It looks like he's just completely disappeared from the track. And I suspect that in a moment, us who are in the serve will see a throughput error. And that's Brady Myers, who is working his way through the field. He's had a big drama coming down into that fast chicane there. I suspect we're going to see a massive bucket of understeer if he wasn't helped along in that. So he comes in there. Oh my goodness! Oh my gosh, that was violent. As the rear tire hit that curb there, it just absolutely pitched the car hard left. And there was absolutely no coming back from that for Brady Myers. So unfortunately, his charge through the field ends there, and I suspect he'll lose a significant portion of his I rating because of that. So very unfortunate there for Brady. We're back now with James Duckworth, who has just fallen off a little bit as he runs very wide and even gives the wall a little bit of a hello on the exit onto the oval there. He's still trying to catch Riley Blythe here, but Riley's got some good pace right now. He's managed to just eke out a little bit of an advantage here. And something's happened to James Mackey as well, because Jamie McKnight was tucked in just behind Mackey, and was it Mackey or was it I think it was behind I'll have to figure that one out, but I think it was Boyd actually. So something's happened to Boyd. He's a little bit back further in the field, but going for a great move here on Craig Jones. Unfortunately, just didn't have the traction coming out of that final chicane there to make anything happen, and now he's under attack from the 21 car of Warren Pickering. So we see Justin Wallace just slow on the straight there, but Warren Pickering having a little bit of a look as well, and looking good in that Fusion Sim racing car, carrying some good mid corner speed there, but nice exit from Boyd takes him up closer to the rear of the CMR team car of Craig Jones just up ahead, and very violent on the curbs there for Jack Boyd. Dampers in that V8 Supercar working beyond their extremes there and just unsettling the car. Looking good though through that double left-hander. He's got a little bit of a run here on the 11 car, but it's very difficult. In fact, Jack Boyd might have a bit of an issue here. Either he hasn't got the car set up properly or he's had a slowdown, because he's just had to let both of those cars go. And looking strong once again as Warren Pickering just gets a massive slide. Or was that Warren Pickering or the... sorry, that was actually Zach Baker got a massive slide through there. And Jack Boyd is just hemorrhaging positions at the moment. So I don't know if he's got some damage to that car, but he is really struggling. Meanwhile, up at the front, Jordan Ross and Mitchell Selak still battling on, and Corey Preston's tucked in there nicely as well.
Yeah, absolutely. That was crazy battle going on further down the pack. But at that moment, with that battle between Preston Selak and Ross, it's all on for these positions just outside the podium. And Selak's looking fairly racy. I know he hasn't done a huge amount of practice in the V8. He hasn't actually raced a whole lot recently, or as he gets a bit of a slide out onto the oval, sorry. But he's not doing too bad for himself to hold off Preston and hold on to Ross at the moment.
Yeah, it's a very nice job indeed. Corey Preston, we've seen have some great results and is very fast in qualifying in this car. And a lot of curve there from Mitch there as he came out of that chicane. Corey Preston is not sitting too shabbily right now in 6th position. Just got to get that JMSR car to the end of a race and take home some valuable points. Meanwhile, looking back at Zach Baker, he's in a battle now with Tyson Williams and Jack Boyd. Tyson Williams locking up the wheels as they come into the chicane. Jamie Stovall as well, having to take evasive action, and will maybe actually even take a position to go with that. So very lucky there for him, as Mario Vlasic also managing to get the move done on Zach Baker, and Zach now looking to be in a bit of a struggle here, as we'll get a replay of all that for you, because both of those guys just came in absolutely locked up. So Tyson Williams having a look to the inside of Zach Baker there and just locks up the front, pinches it. Zach sees him coming, goes wide, and both of them manage to make the corner, but Zach gets hung out to dry. And Jamie Stovall, great piece of driving there, manages to get through as well. Wayne Burke is now circulating on the track again, ladies and gentlemen, but he is now lapped down. And Corey Preston, we just saw getting through on Mitchell Selak as well now. So he's now got a bit of free air to try and close up the gap to Jordan Ross ahead. It's only about a second, so definitely achievable for Corey Preston there, seeing the speed that he's had this season, and he might be able to even drag those guys back up. And that's a CMR car around. That's Craig Jones, and that's coming out of the high-speed chicane. So another issue at that particular part of the track. It is so risky, as every time you go in there, those curbs are so grand. They can really catch you out when you're not expecting it. So we'll see what happens to Craig Jones here. Not the first one this time, just loses it on the mid-corner, and that's a big hit into the outside retaining wall there, and all the other drivers doing a fantastic job there to keep out of the way of Craig Jones, and he's come onto the pit lane to repair some of that damage.
Yeah, really, really unfortunate there for Craig. It was just a little bit too much wheel spin there for him, and it's just unsettled the rear end and sent him straight into the wall. So really, really unfortunate for him. But yeah, looking at this battle between Selak and Preston, Preston's pulled away quite a bit from Selak, and now he's on the hunt for Ross, and a little bit slower than Ross, but...
Oh my goodness! This is absolutely insane. This chicane is taking so many prisoners tonight, and Riley Blythe is a man who has had to walk onto the ship, shackles and chains, and he just took a little bit too much of that inside curb for the second apex, or the second part of that chicane there, and he has paid a heavy price for that. Has Riley Blythe. Sorry to cut across you there, Cam, but that was absolutely savage for Riley Blythe.
Absolutely, really unfortunate. We're starting to see a lot of guys taking risks now because they're trying to push harder to try and catch a car ahead, but the problem is they're taking too much curb into that chicane, and it's just costing them so bad. I mean, we've already seen a number of cars drop positions, possibly due to damage from the curbs through that chicane. So it's just going to be about keeping yourself safe. I know the guys at the front are doing it quite well, but yeah, it's just causing a lot of dramas for a lot of people, as I've also just seen Matt Muggleton also be another victim to that final chicane. So it's catching a lot of people out, and especially some of these championship contenders as well. They really just need to be safe and take it easy and just get some points in the bag rather than risking it all on the line.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think it was actually more Ashley Ruskin who became he was the one who had the problem, and unfortunately Matt Muggleton was a complete bystander and all that. Meanwhile, up the front, Andrew Gilliam doing a fantastic job so far. 4.1 second lead over Jackson Suslin Harlow, and that is Matt Muggleton. We see him crawling back around the track, and Jamie Stovall's coming under attack. Bad run out of the final corner, and he's going to get done twice in the same corner, and Christian Smart might even go in for turn number 2. He might be able to fight it around the outside here, and he's going to go in deep as Christian. He's going to have some good exit speed coming out of here too, so definitely not over for him at this stage, although he's just managed to keep onto that position, has Jamie Stovall, but two guys up ahead of him. I think that was Zach Baker and was that Ryan Shelton as well? Yeah, doing a great job to get through there, and Zach Baker is running very wide onto the chicane, onto the oval, pardon me. But great move from both of those guys, and now they've got some free air up ahead of them to go and catch the next guys up ahead. So it is really a risk versus reward situation at the moment, as we just see Muggleton getting well out of the way of anybody coming through that chicane there, as he's just trying to keep out everyone's race, and he's actually just blown his engine, so he's not even going to be able to make it back to the pits. That is day done for Matt Muggleton. Jamie McKnight and Michael Taliancic, two veterans of this series, doing battle in the ERT and Pursuit Sim racing cars. And he's got to say, these V8 Supercars look great with those little headlights on at the front. Good to see them out in play this evening. And the track temperature, by the way, currently 27 degrees, so fairly cool. So these guys aren't going to have to pit for new boots this evening. it's really going to help out a lot of these drivers who maybe struggle with tire wear a little bit and like a little bit more grip in the car. Looks like Jamie McKnight's enjoying these conditions as it is. He's driving very well at the moment, sitting inside the top 10 and holding off Michael Talyancic for the time being. And got a lot of really close packs actually. Corey Preston starting to catch up on Jordan Ross bit by bit, but there's a big battle down in 15th, 16th, and 17th as well, which is still Zach Baker, Jamie Stovall, and Christian Smart. Those guys are still going at it tooth and nail, but Michael Talyancic still trying to hunt down Jamie McKnight as well. Those guys have been trading laps for the last couple of rotations of this circuit, and be interesting to see if Marlon McMullen's also actually able to catch up to Jackson Suslin Harlow, because that gap's very small, as is the gap to Jordan Ross. So the podium positions are definitely not sorted. We're only 12 laps into this 32-lap race, and as we said, tyre wear is going to really play into this at the end of this race. We just see Andrew Gilliam now flying through that chicane, taking just the perfect amount, not unsettling the car too heavily, but looks like that Pursuit Sims racing car is really set up very nicely for those big curbs here at the Roval.
Yeah, they seem to have that car really well set up. I mean, he's actually quite a bit quicker than Harlow as well. He did a 13.3 that last time. Harlow not too far away from coming across the line, and he's done a 13.5, so still 2/10 quicker than Harlow, even after all this time, which is really, really interesting to see. As we've got Tyson Williams having a huge moment in the backstraight.
Oh, again, my goodness. We'll get a replay of that for you. The CPR car parts replay, and Tyson Williams battling hard there with Mario Vlasic. We'll just see if... Oh, my goodness! Oh, that is very unfortunate. So those guys just having a big tangle before they even got to the chicane. So the chicane just too intimidating for some, and Justin Wallace, who... Oh, that's really such a shame for Justin Wallace. He was committed into the corner and the car bounced in front of him, and he did not have anywhere to go but that extremely hard, I'm sure, wall down there at that chicane, and that would have been a painful one. So glad he's not going to have to pay any of those bills, because that would have been probably a chassis replacement for that one. It was a very large hit. Meanwhile, Corey Preston's chased down Jordan Ross and is starting to apply a little bit of pressure here, and is very good on the brakes, although maybe a little bit too good, because he actually missed his braking marker and ran a little bit deep there. That's lost him a bit of time, but he's still within half a second of Jordan Ross, and he has been claiming that back bit by bit over the last few laps. And Marlon McMullen and Jackson Suslin Harlow still within eyesight of him as well, so he's definitely not out of contention for second place in this race.
Absolutely. McMullen's actually doing really, really well. He's 2/10 quicker that last lap than Harlow, so could be on for young and old, as they say, for the final spot on the podium. And then further back, if those two actually start fighting, you'll have Ross and Preston involved. So we could possibly see a 4-car battle for the podium position.
Yes, well, we do have 20 laps to still find out if that will happen. I definitely hope it does. We see Marlon McMullen screaming through that chicane there, and looking very good in those CMR colours. Very nice. That's another one! Oh my goodness! Oh, he's blown his engine as well. I don't know if he just hit the sump on the curb way too hard, or if he pulled a gear there, but that is catastrophic. Mitchell Selak will get a CPR car prize racing replay. Guys, we've got to have some cars finish this race, please. And we just see on board with him there, and he's just, absolutely smacked that curb there. And it looked like it was mainly the rear attitude of the car that popped out there. So hard to say, but smoke bellowing from that machine. He's in the pits, and doubt that he's going to be challenging for any of the higher positions this evening, as we watch Zach Baker in the number 8 car chasing down Ryan Shelton. who's just 0.6 of a second up the road, and they've also got Christian Smart, who's now lost his boot, but is still doing a good job in that 22 car. He's been getting involved in a bit of racing this evening, and up into 13th position at the moment. Having a bit of an issue with his internet though. He's blinking in and out as he's going around the track, and that's going to be very distracting for any of the other drivers who are around him. Just having a look now on board with Michael Taliancic as he's still hunting down Jamie McKnight. Those guys have been locked in very closely for the last few laps, and an opportunity maybe for Michael Taliancic. Just can't get the power down out of that final chicane. Jamie McKnight very committed, but a little bit too deep into that chicane, and maybe he's starting to lose a little bit of life in those tires, because the car is moving around quite a bit now. As you can see, Michael Taliancic just taking two very different lines through those corners there, and you can see the difference in speed. Michael, good mid-corner and entry speed, but just suffering a little bit on the exit there compared to Jamie McKnight, who's pedaling that ERT machine very quickly around here, not quite going all the way out to the wall there, but definitely using a lot of road on the exit of that double left-hander there, going right up to the oval wall, and even dipping the wheels just below the blue line on the oval as well. See if these guys have any trouble as they come into the very high-speed chicane. Both those guys live to die another day, as they're looking very smooth through that section of the track. Out of the 32 cars that have started so far, we only have 19 still circulating on the on the lead lap, which I have to say, by any standards, let alone a short race, is a very high amount of attrition there. That's nearly 30% of the field that we have lost so far. In fact, it is 30% of the field that we've lost so far. So trying to bring it home, the rest of the field will, as Jackson Susan-Harlow, oh, and Andrew Zackerson, just as we were saying, cars have been retiring. He's that could possibly be another one, judging by how he was pulling to the inside of the track there. We'll get another CPR parts replay, and he went for a move there and just, oh my goodness, just did not turn when he went for the right section, the right-hand section of that chicane. He went and turned the corner, and the front wheels just did not agree with that notion at all. And that is another car out of this race count.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all about attrition at this point. I mean, like you said, we've now only got, 18 cars left in this race, so it's just all about being consistent and just staying safe. There's no point putting it on the line. I mean, we're roughly halfway through this race, but again, there's championship points on the line, there's championship on the line, there's an Aussie Driver Search entry on the line, so there's no point putting it all on the line and risking it in this one round.
You're absolutely right, and the strength of field this evening is not, I mean, it's not the highest that we've seen, but it's not particularly poor. It's still at nearly 3,300 this evening, which is pretty decent for championship points. And as we said, quite a few of the big names who would normally race in this series are still on their way home from Bathurst, or are taking the night off after a big drive or a flight home. So there's a good opportunity for some guys who are maybe really looking to climb their way up through the field and catch those leaders, to bag some really good points tonight. Guys like Corey Preston and Marlon McMullen, Jordan Ross and Jackson Suslin-Harlow, those guys are all in prime positions to bag some good points here and catch up on those guys who are not here this evening. Michael Taliancic gets a great run out of the final chicane, and he's going to move up to the outside here. He might be able to try and go down the inside into the chicane. He's late on the brakes, not quite there though for Michael Taliancic. A great piece of driving to get the car there, but just didn't think that the risk was worth it. And with 13 laps still to go, I probably agree with him in that assessment, but it was a great point you rose up, Cam, before about there being a real drive on the line, because of course the winner of this championship this season will win an amateur comp entry into the Aussie Driver Search program, where they will get to actually drive a real Toyota A86 race car, as well as a BMW 130i racing car as well at their local track, or as close as they can get. And that is a fantastic opportunity. And Corey Preston and Jordan Ross almost losing it there. And that was very close for both of them. So we'll have to see if they continue this level of aggression. Corey Preston seems to be not too worried. He's still absolutely climbing over those curbs and going very aggressively into the braking zone. But Jordan Ross obviously feeling that pressure, and Corey Preston really trying to apply it as they both just get massively crossed up. Now a little bit of traffic here as Corey gets a big understeer slide on the entry into that corner there. So he's using up a little bit of this front tire, maybe just trying to catch Jordan Ross, and attitude of the car not working to his advantage, and Jordan just taking a bit of the inside curve there, really unsettling the car. They're both wide at the apex there for that double right, and these guys are looking a bit raggedy right now.
Yeah, they're really pushing hard. They've actually caught up to Harlow and McMullen actually quite well, so if they keep working together like they are and not making too many mistakes, they might actually be able to get right into the back of these two and be on for a possible podium.
And Jackson Suzlin Harlow is actually, I mean, I know the gap's quite large, but he was the fastest car on track last time around, even faster than our race leader at the moment, Andrew Gilliam. He was faster by about 0.3, so making inroads into that lead. 6.2 seconds is the current advantage, and there's traffic in the way for Suzlin Harlow, and that is David Thomas there, just unfortunately holding him up. And now Marlon McMullen's going to have a little bit of a look, locks an inside tyre into turn one there as he tried to put Jackson Suzlin Harlow under a little bit of pressure there, and taking any opportunity he can to rattle his competitor is Marlon McMullen, the number one car in this race this evening, and unfortunately for him, not able to do anything. And Corey Preston still all over the back of Jordan Ross, almost rubbing the rear bumper there as they came through that double right-hander, now into the double left. Very easy to carry it too wide on either of these corners because you just want to carry so much speed through the corner. But these guys are professionals and they are getting it done for the time being. And unless this second chicane has anything to do with it, because we've seen more cars go off here than any. And Corey Preston, a little bit of a wider entry there compared to everyone else, and he nearly loses it as well on the exit. Something not working for him in the entry to these corners in that JMSR car. And Michael Taliancic once again having a bit of a look here at Jamie McKnight. Now he got a great run out of this corner a couple of laps ago. We'll see if he can replicate that. Jamie McKnight's actually got an absolute stonking run through there and has pulled away quite considerably. So definitely no opportunity for Taliancic on this lap to get anything done. He is very good on the brakes though, in that Pursuit Sim Sports car. So, and his teammate also leading this race, so he's got some good setup in this car. He just needs to maybe just get past Jamie McKnight so that he can start putting some of that pace down to the ground. But now just having a look at Jordan Ross again, and Jordan Ross has, looks like Corey Preston's just dropped off a little bit now. He's actually a second behind Jordan Ross, so that mistake that he made earlier has really set him back. But as I said, his car's not looking particularly great at the moment on the coming through some of these corners. He's picking up a lot of understeer, so we'll have to see if that's still an issue for him. But Jordan Ross is still doing a good job and is catching Marlon McMullen, as we said earlier, and could definitely have an argument in who's going to be on the second step of the podium this evening. They come through that final chicane. Great to see the lighting effects as well, as it's getting much darker now here at the Roval. Some of those lights. Oh, and that's a big hit for Jordan Ross. Too much speed through turn number one, just as we were talking about him, and he has got significant damage to the side of that car. I wonder if that's going to do anything to the pace of that machine. Now, it doesn't look like he's got any steering damage. We'll see when he gets onto a straight if there's a more telling sign of anything wrong there. But Corey Preston, who was a second behind just before, is now way up on him, and he's also fallen back from Marlon McMullen just a tad as well.
Yeah, absolutely. That damage is probably going to hurt him in a straight line quite a bit, especially around on this oval part of the circuit. But for the most part, he should be able to hold off Corey Preston as they come to the backstretch chicane.
Oh, no! Oh my goodness! Oh, Jordan Ross, another victim to the Roval high-speed chicane. My goodness, it is absolutely incredible how many guys are going through here, and with the damage to that car, I wouldn't be surprised if that maybe just had a little bit to do. Oh no, he just picked up too much of that inside curb, and that is a massive monster hit, and he knew it. He exited out of that car almost immediately. So top 5 position out of order for Jordan Ross. He'll now be a DNF in this race, and Corey Preston moves up into 4th position, so he now doesn't have to work as hard to try and get past, so he can now focus his attention on settling the car down and catching up to Marlon and McMullen for a shot on the podium now. And I think Corey Preston's got some good speed in that car. He just might be able to do it. Just depends on how those tyres are wearing for him at the moment.
Yeah, if he doesn't quite have the tyre, he might struggle near the end of this race. McMullen actually the quickest on track that last time by, so possibly going to be having some decent pace and could possibly catch Harlow in the next few laps or so. But Preston looking like he could be maybe struggling on tyres at the moment, because he had a little bit of a moment on the exit of the bus stop chicane.
Oh, guys! Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness, guys! That was never gonna work. Oh, Martin Casey stuck in the wall. I think that was Mario Vlasic who he was battling with there. We'll get another. Oh, that was a replay there. Sorry, and that was a very yeah, that was a difficult moment to watch between those two guys. Very. I mean, it's kind of like the chicanes at the Gold Coast 600, where you just kind of can't do it. Wayne Burke as well, who's not in contention but still come out to put on a show, is he's definitely doing that. He had a big moment on the exit of the chicane there, and unfortunately though for Wayne Burke, he's 3 laps down. So we started this race, ladies and gentlemen, for reference, with 32 of these V8 supercars. We have currently 13 on the lead lap. So that is an absolutely astonishing amount of attrition, and it's in majority been all in thanks to that chicane down the back end there. It has just absolutely destroyed the field tonight. And I don't know if that has to do more with these guys just getting too hungry, or if it has to do with the setups of these cars. Maybe some guys just aren't setting the car up for these big curbs here. But I do have to say, when I did my practice earlier, the chicanes were pretty savage. And I definitely have to put my hand up and say that I lost to that chicane a couple of times, so I can't blame these guys for that, because it is very high speed. And if you just get the tiniest bit of understeer at the wrong time, it can be all over, especially when you're pushing as hard as these guys are. Because they want a good result. They want to sit behind the wheel of an Aussie Driver Search racing car and see what they can do. And just in case you're wondering as well, ladies and gentlemen, if you do win the amateur comp overall, so these guys win an entry into the amateur comp for Aussie Driver Search. If they then go on to win that amateur comp competition, they get $100,000 to go racing with the following year, which is absolutely incredible. I wouldn't be surprised if that would buy you a couple of drives in the AE86 series throughout Australia. You might even be able to go and have a bit of a drive at Bathurst with a budget like that. So a very exciting opportunity for all of these guys. And these guys up at the front, Andrew Gillum, Jackson Suzlin-Harlow, Marlon McMullen, they all know what it's all about, and they're keeping it on track. But Marlon McMullen's been shadowing Jackson Suzlin-Harlow for quite a while now, and you just wonder, with 5 laps to go, whether he's thinking about making a move here, or whether he's just willing to bag some points and just keep it on the road, because we've seen so many cars go off this evening.
Yeah, it's interesting little story about that championship points, as Marlon actually clipped some of the cones on the inside there down for one of the escape roads, but he's actually not far off the championship lead, which currently Jackson has. And all it's going to take is for Jackson to possibly DNF this race, and he could maybe take the championship lead. Don't know. It's going to be interesting, but with the 5 laps to go, probably going to see the two of them just be conservative and get championship points. But as we've seen, this race is throwing all sorts of curveballs, and anything can happen.
Yes, and speaking of anything can happen, we have another car in the fence. Thankfully, this time it's not at that notorious chicane. We're just looking at Greg Sharp in the Stealth SimForce car, and he is coming into turn 1. Looks like he's got some attitude control issues with that car before. He's had a bigger issue here. In fact, he's just decided that that car is too unsuitable to drive, and he has parked it. He's obviously had a couple of incidents. I think we saw him earlier in the race hopping one of the chicanes, as well as Michael Taliancic really struggling for rear grip now with 4 laps to go. And that's not surprising. This Roval course is very load heavy in terms of the fact that you're almost always turning. There are very few parts of this track that are actually just straight. So these tyres are really being punished at the moment, and Jamie McKnight and Michael Taliancic are starting to struggle a little bit, because Michael's definitely struggling, and we just see Jamie McKnight have a big moment on the mid-corner as he was getting pretty high up on the line there, much higher than he would have wanted, and here's a big run from Taliancic, and even a little bit of a bump as they come up onto the Roval. So Taliancic, that's going to hurt his exit there, and he might have actually been able to do something if he didn't quite give that shove. Jamie McKnight now extends that advantage to what was nearly 0 out to 0.4 of a second in just 1 corner, and those guys make it through the chicane of death for the 29th time. Only 3 more times they need to get through that before they can start relaxing, put up the boots, and be happy with the top 10. But there are still stories to unfold throughout the race, as we have seen so far. The man who's just been absolutely crushing it tonight, Andrew Gilliam, who is 7.1 seconds ahead of TTL's Jackson Sluice-Harlow, and he could really take it very easily, and it does look like he is taking it quite easily through that chicane there. He could pretty much be 2 seconds a lap slower for the next couple of laps and still come home with a little bit of a buffer. So no point in hanging it all out on the line. He's got the victory all tied up. Just needs to make it to the end. Jackson Sluice-Harlow not so much in the same position, but he has pulled away from Marlon McMullen in these last couple of laps. So I think that Marlon is probably going to be just settling here for 3rd position. So I think the podium's probably sorted out, but Michael Taliancic and Jamie McKnight, they're definitely not sorted out, I don't think. Oh, and Jamie so close to just taking too much of that curve there. Both front wheels off the ground, as that's some traffic doing a great job of getting out of the way there and not holding up this race for the viewers. So thank you very much to the 31 car there. I think that's Kane Houston there. So thank you to Kane Houston for doing a good job and getting out of the way for this little battle here. And Michael Taliancic is looking very strong once again. He's going to go down the inside. Great job there. Locks up the inside wheel. McKnight holding it around the outside, carries that corner speed, and is actually able to cut back in front of Taliancic, who's getting crazy on the exit of some of these corners here.
Yeah, he's pushing really, really hard. He actually has done quite well to catch back up, but he had a moment through the back chicane earlier on, so he's done quite well to catch up and get to the gap that he's back at now. So move could be on in a few laps, move could be on at any point, but McKnight might be struggling on those tyres compared to Taliancic, I reckon.
Yeah, I think that Michael's really struggling for rear grip, and I think Jamie's really struggling for front grip at the moment, so they're having opposite problems. So Jamie seems to be getting a really good run out of the corners onto the ovals, and Michael's just really good through that infield, and we saw just quite a bit of an advantage through that chicane there as well, which really does rely on strong front end grip. And I think a little bit of a late move there from Taliancic, just showing the nose and going a little bit deep as well. That was not ideal for him, because he really wants to be close on this infield section where he has seemed so strong. The very pointy nose of that car, but he does run wide once into the first corner there, and Jamie McKnight will not have to worry about too much pressure from him through the infield now, which he'll be very happy about. But this is definitely the closest battle on track at the moment for a decent position. David Thomas and Zach Baker further in the field are having a little bit of a battle, but they are much further down the order, both having suffered quite a bit of damage from some incidents earlier in the race. So we will follow these guys. And Michael Taliancic not close enough at the moment. Andrew Gilliam has just passed the line to start his final lap of the race, which means that Michael Taliancic is only going to have one more lap to get this position sorted out, which he has been hunting down for such a long time. Took a little bit too much curb on the inside of the first portion of that chicane there, and he's already dropped back 0.7 of a second from Jamie McKnight. So he's got a little bit of work to do on this final lap. He's really going to have to rely on a mistake here from Jamie McKnight, but he's looking very solid at the moment and has looked solid all evening. But we will now turn our attention to Mr. Gilliam, because we haven't shown a lot of him this evening, and it has to be said, as he takes it so cruisy through that second last chicane there. He's done an absolutely splendid job this evening. He's going to come home with a 5-second plus lead, and in the number 20 car, that is a very impressive feat. Absolutely, Andrew Gilliam for Pursuit Sim Racing will take home
on the last lap.
And sorry, we've just had a big moment from Corey Preston as well, who's something's happened to him. He's on the inside of the track there and struggling to. I think he's back up to speed now, but he's got massive damage to the side of that car. He's only just going to bring it home. He might even spin as he comes over the line, but he just manages to keep it all together. Does Corey Preston? We'll just get a CPR Kart Parts replay, who are really probably earning the bang for the buck out of their sponsorship deal this evening. Corey Preston, as he'll be the final victim this evening of the chicane. That's way too much curb on the inside, and the rear of that car, that waltz linkage is just going to be absolutely destroyed. And you can see when he tried to get back on the power, the car just was not agreeing with that whatsoever. But Andrew Gilliam was the man this evening who did the perfect job, led from flag to flag, had virtually no challenges whatsoever, and got a great start off the line. And that is a great win for him and for Pursuit Sim Racing, so well done to them. And a great track to win on as well. I think that's the first official iRacing V8 Supercars Championship race at the Roval. So a great feat for him to take that one out. He takes home the race 5 seconds ahead of TTL Esports' Jackson Suslin-Harlow, and ahead of CMR Team's J. McMullen. Corey Preston just barely managing to bring the car home in 4th position. James Mackey and James Duckworth coming home in 5th and 6th. Jamie McKnight and Michael Taliancic, they battled all the way to the very end of the race and came home in 7th and 8th. And Ryan Shelton and Christian Smart round out the top 10.
In 11th, we have Warren Pickering, the last person on the lead lap, actually. 12th goes to Damon Mulqueen, Mitchell Selak in 13th, 14th and 15th, Kane Hewson and Zach Baker. David Thomas, 16th, 17th goes to Jamie Stobbelold, 18th to Wayne Burke, and then rounding out the field with the DNFs is Greg Sharp, Mark Casey, Jordan Ross, Mario Vlasic, Kyle Stokes, Justin Wallace, Andrew Zackerson, Craig Jones, Tyson Williams, Brady Myers, Riley Blythe, Jack Boyd, Matt Moulton, and Ashley Ruskin.
And that wasn't a school attendance list, ladies and gentlemen. That was the list of drivers who did not finish this evening's race due to that absolutely savage chicane down the back straight here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. It has been a very entertaining race this evening, and I'm sure that I'm going to have have a few glasses of water this evening so that I can recover my voice from that. Make sure as well that you do subscribe to the iRacing Esports Network. We do very much appreciate your support. And if you like the broadcast tonight, don't be afraid to chuck a like on there as well. And if you want to comment, we see a lot of guys in the chat, which is absolutely fantastic. But also leave a comment on the video if you would like to as well. We do have plenty coming up on the iRacing Esports Network this week, including the Rallycross Series and the GSSRA series on Wednesday night. So we've got Rallycross and GTEs on Wednesday evening. We have on the SimSpeed TV network as well. We have the AOSC on Friday night. And we will be joining you once again for the iRacing V8 Supercars official series presented by SimSpeed TV, and Aussie Driver Search will be next week at Snetterton in the 200 configuration there, which should be an absolutely fantastic race. We do thank you very much for joining us this evening. We congratulate our podium of Andrew Gilliam, Jackson Suslin Harlow, and Marlon McMullen. My name is Zachary Hanlon, in the box tonight, thanking Cam Dance and also Jay Kennedy for bringing you all the lovely pictures that you've seen this evening, including this great shot surrounding the Charlotte Motor Speedway. But we will join you next week once again for some great V8 action. And until then, we'll see you next time.